Hey everybody, this is Kevin with a Will It Modular quick tip. Now, one of the things that's a requirement for any of the modulars I'm building is that they have to have a way to connect with one another on the sides, just the way the Creator Expert modulars do. And that's typically done with a 1x2 brick with a hole in it, with a Technic pin that you then insert in that. Now, not every set has one of these, but there are some other pieces and some substitutions that you can use to still achieve that connection, and that's what I want to show you. So the simplest way is to have the 1x2 Technic brick, and even if you don't have the pin, I would still consider that an allowable modular build because the modulars themselves always come with extra Technic pins. Those are pretty easy parts to come by. It's not something that would discourage me from doing a Will It modular for a particular set as an alternate build. But if you don't have one of these 1x2 bricks with a Technic hole in it, you could also use a 1x2 brick with a Technic axle hole in it. And that works as well, even though the hole shape is a little bit different, because you can use one of these Technic axle to Technic pin connectors here. So if you put this in the end of the brick, you've essentially got the same thing that you would have had if you'd started with the Technic hole in the first place. And there's a ton of different types of pins that you could put in here. There's the blue pin. I think this is probably the most common. There's also a beige or tan variant of that same part that you could use as well. The modular alternate build I did called Olivia's Cupcake Cafe didn't have any of these parts, didn't have any of these parts, so I had to come up with something completely different, and that's why I have these other pieces here as well. So these are 1x1 bricks with one stud on the side. There's actually a 1x2 version of this piece that's actually just two of these put together essentially. And what happens is you take a couple of these pieces and you take a regular 1x2 plate, which I have right here, and I'm going to put that 1x2 plate on the end. So now we've effectively got this. And then I'm going to take another 1x2 plate with a jumper in the middle of it with this one stud on top. And now we've actually recreated the right dimensions here for where that hole is. Now I've tried this with some other bracket pieces, some 1x2 different bracket pieces that allow you to build these studs not on top technique, and none of them quite give you that same exact positioning that you get with this Technic brick. And because these bricks sit on the very bottom plate of the modulars, there's not a lot of other cheats or mechanisms you could do to try to line those up. You're at ground level and there's not a lot of space to work with. So what I've done then with this piece is you can take either a 1x1 round brick like this, or you can take a 1x1 cone, which has essentially the same profile on the top. It's got just one stud on the top, just like this round brick does. So that's the same. And if you place this, now let me show you some placement here first. So typically the 1x2 brick is going to go right on the edge of the plate like this. But with this piece, instead of putting it right on the edge, you're actually going to set it back 3 full studs. Now it's not ideal. If you've taken a look at Olivia's Cupcake Cafe, for example, I had to kind of build a countertop over top of this piece to cover it up. It really cramps your interior floor space of the modular you're building, but it does allow you to achieve that connection. And since I hold myself to these rules as I'm doing these alternate builds, a lot of times this is the only way I can make that connection happen. And it does actually work. The end of the stud actually doesn't sit all the way inside an adjacent modular, but it does enough to make a connection, and I'll show you what I mean here. So if I put this on right here, then the actual Technic brick, let's assume this is from one of the Creator Expert modulars, and I set that on, you can see that we're now connected. So you would obviously have to build your walls out around this same level here. So I'm just going to kind of simulate that with some pieces that I have around. So this would effectively be, what your wall would look like What just happened is what will happen as you try to separate the modulars. Sometimes that cone piece or that round brick will fall off, and it does create a little bit of a protrusion. Obviously you don't get the smooth option that you get by pulling the Technic pin out here, but it does work to make the connection. It's something that I count as legal in my Will It Modular alternate builds, and now it's a technique that you can use in your modulars as well. So I hope you enjoyed this Will It Modular quick tip. If you did, click like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and remember, build each other up, don't tear each other down. Happy building.